The tension surrounding Shakur Stevenson's upcoming fight has reached a boiling point, and it's not just about the punches that will be thrown inside the ring. At the weigh-in, Stevenson's aggressive antics toward his last-minute opponent, Josh Padley, sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Getting in his face, pointing fingers, and even shoving him, Stevenson was clearly trying to intimidate the underdog. But was this just pre-fight mind games, or is Stevenson feeling the heat after back-to-back lackluster performances? Critics argue that his bravado was misplaced. After all, Padley is a late replacement, not a world-class contender. If Stevenson was facing a legitimate threat like Andy Cruz or Abdullah Mason, his aggression might have been justified. But bullying a domestic-level fighter who stepped in on short notice? That's not a good look. With his reputation already on shaky ground, Stevenson isn't just fighting Padley. He's fighting to regain the trust of fans who are starting to question if he's really the future of boxing. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Padley, despite being a last-minute replacement, isn't walking into this fight to simply collect a paycheck. This is the opportunity of a lifetime, and he knows it. With only 4 knockouts to his name, he might not have the reputation of a power puncher, but he's got something just as dangerous. Absolutely nothing to lose. If he manages to push Stevenson to his limits, or even pull off the unthinkable and win, he'll instantly become one of the biggest stories in boxing. And let's not forget, judges might favor Stevenson, but the court of public opinion won't be so forgiving if he struggles against an opponent he was expected to dominate. A weak performance could send Stevenson's career spiraling in the wrong direction, while Padley could walk away as an overnight sensation. One man is fighting for redemption, the other for a once-in-a-lifetime shot at glory. The stakes couldn't be higher, and on fight night, the world will be watching. Shakur Stevenson came into today's weigh-in with an unusually aggressive attitude, making it clear that he was trying to intimidate his last-minute opponent, Josh Padley. Stevenson got right up in Padley's face, pointing fingers and even shoving him ahead of their 12-round lightweight undercard fight. This kind of behavior isn't uncommon in boxing, where fighters often try to get inside their opponent's head before a big match, but in this case, it felt unnecessary. Padley isn't a top-ranked contender who has been training for months to face Stevenson. He's a late replacement brought in to fill a gap. Despite that, Stevenson was acting as if he was facing a major rival, which left many wondering if he was overcompensating for something. However, what makes this fight intriguing is that Padley may have more power than people give him credit for. While he only has 4 knockouts on his record, his ability to take the fight to Stevenson shouldn't be underestimated. If Padley is aggressive from the opening bell and lands clean shots, he might just pull off one of the biggest upsets in recent boxing history. That being said, given the way boxing politics work, even if he does well, it's unlikely the judges would rule in his favor. But what he can do is expose Stevenson's weaknesses, just like Edwin de los Santos did in Stevenson's last fight, leaving fans with more questions about whether Stevenson is really as dominant as he claims to be. Stevenson, who holds an unbeaten record of 22-0 with 10 knockouts, clearly had a chip on his shoulder during the weigh-in. He was trying hard to establish dominance over Padley, a relatively unknown fighter with a record of 15-0 and just 4 KOs. Padley was never supposed to be in this fight. He was only chosen as a replacement after Floyd Schofield had to withdraw due to illness. The decision to bring in Padley was personally made by Eddie Hearn, who recommended him to Turki Alalshik, the event's organizer. While the fight is still happening, many fans feel it lacks any real competitiveness. If Stevenson had shown this level of aggression and confidence against a top-tier fighter, someone like Andy Cruz, Abdullah Mason, or Raymond Muratalla, it would have made sense. Those are opponents who could push Stevenson to his limits and make for an exciting fight. But trying to punk a domestic-level fighter who stepped in at the last minute makes Stevenson look like a bully rather than a warrior. Instead of proving himself in a true test, He seems to be playing it safe while putting on a show of confidence that doesn't really hold much weight. It's becoming increasingly obvious that Stevenson is feeling insecure after his last two underwhelming performances against Artem Harutyunyan and Edwin de los Santos. Many of his once loyal fans are beginning to question whether he's truly the elite-level fighter they believed him to be. There was a time when Stevenson was seen as the future of the lightweight division, a dominant force that could eventually challenge the best pound-for-pound fighters in the sport. But now, with his performances declining and his behavior raising eyebrows, fans are beginning to lose faith. If Stevenson really wanted to prove himself and rebuild his reputation, he should have demanded a tougher opponent instead of settling for Padley without question. Fighters like Jadier Herrera would have been a much more respectable challenge. The fact that Stevenson's team avoided Herrera suggests they knew he posed a real threat. If Stevenson were to lose to a fighter like Herrera, it would be a major setback for his career. So instead, he's taking what looks like the safest route, fighting a last-minute replacement and hoping to dominate so he can regain some lost credibility. But fans aren't blind to what's happening, and many are calling out the situation for what it is: an easy fight designed to make Stevenson look good without actually testing him. On the other hand, Josh Padley is seeing this as the biggest moment of his career. While he wasn't originally supposed to be in this fight, he isn't letting that stop him from giving it everything he's got. During the weigh-in, he expressed nothing but excitement and determination, making it clear that he plans to seize the opportunity. Speaking to DAZN Boxing, Padley said, "This is what dreams are made of. This is what you get into boxing for. A world title shot, the pinnacle of the sport. I'm going to grab it with both hands." Despite being the underdog, he's entering the ring with the mindset that he has nothing to lose and everything to gain. If he somehow manages to shock the world and pull off an upset, it would be one of the biggest moments in boxing this year. Even if he doesn't win, putting on a strong performance against Stevenson could open doors for bigger opportunities in the future. Either way, Padley knows this is his moment, and he's ready to step into the ring and make the most of it. Now, the only question is whether Stevenson will live up to expectations, or if Padley will be the one to steal the spotlight. If Stevenson underperforms again, it could further damage his reputation, making it harder for him to secure major fights in the future. His last couple of performances already left fans questioning his ability, and if he struggles against Padley, a late replacement with little time to prepare, it will only add fuel to the fire. Boxing fans can be unforgiving, and once doubt creeps in about a fighter's dominance, it can be difficult to shake off. Many expected Stevenson to be the next superstar in the lightweight division, but right now he seems to be in damage control mode rather than building an undeniable legacy. His aggressive behavior at the weigh-in might have been an attempt to hype up the fight and make himself look confident. But if he doesn't deliver a dominant performance in the ring, it will only backfire. Meanwhile, Padley enters this fight with nothing to lose and everything to gain. While he might not have the same level of experience or the spotlight that Stevenson has, he's stepping into the ring with a hunger that can't be ignored. Fighters like Padley, who get unexpected opportunities, sometimes pull off the most shocking upsets in boxing history. He's aware that Stevenson has more pressure on his shoulders, and that could work in his favor. If Padley can withstand the early pressure, land clean shots, and force Stevenson into an uncomfortable fight, he could put himself in a position to make history. Even if he doesn't win, a strong performance against a world champion could open doors for bigger fights and opportunities in the near future. This fight is also an important moment for Stevenson's long-term career strategy. If he wants to secure major fights against top contenders and eventually move up in weight, he needs to prove he's still an elite fighter. The lightweight division is stacked with talent, and fighters like Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, and Vasily Lomachenko are still seen as bigger stars. If Stevenson doesn't perform convincingly, he risks being overshadowed by these names, which could hurt